welcome to Counterculture Conversations. We're here. We're back. Got Brendan on the ones and twos.
Brendan, say what's up for everybody.
He didn't say it.
No.
But next time, it'll be a face reveal. We're gonna keep going. I'm sorry.
Big face reveal.
Yeah, big face reveal. We're sorry we've missed a couple weeks.
You guys should be excited about it too, because Brendan's face is bonkers. It's crazy.
It's the nuttiest thing.
It's like it's all arranged in a weird way. Like the eyeballs are down here. It's crazy.
His face is bonkers. Oh, well, sick. Well, dude, let's talk.
Let's talk. So last week we didn't do it. We didn't have a conversation.
Mm-hmm.
The week before that we did, but the tape blew up.
Yeah, it blew up.
One of those explodable tapes.
Like James Bond style.
Exactly. We accidentally recorded on a James Bond cassette tape.
And then it exploded after Brendan went through it and was
tried
like,
to play it.
Yeah.
5 seconds later it exploded.
Yeah.
It's rough.
It's very rough.
You gotta watch out. Filmmakers, you gotta stay safe. It might...
And I'm you know the reason the conversation was good, but the real reason I'm so upset that it didn't get made is because our title was glorious.
Our title was glorious and no one will ever know it.
Okay, that's where you're playing it?
But it was so good.
It was very good.
It was a very good title.
Yeah.
Man, The Lost Tapes.
Oh, yes.
Counterculture.
The Lost Tapes.
The Lost Tapes.
That's in 2 years, after 2 years of doing this, we just take all of our just deleted, cut stuff, and we put it all in a box and hide it 3 hours away somewhere and give Counterculture The Lost Tapes and just write a map.
Yes.
Or geocache it or something.
So Brendan, you better be saving all of the files.
Everyone, because
every single one.
Totally doing that for the millions of fans out there.
They'll love it.
Me too.
So today we are going to be talking about conviction.
Yeah.
Conviction,
decision
making,
conviction, and
giving up stuff.
Yeah,
or
choice.
The weight of your yeses.
Yeah, I think conviction is a good one because a lot of times making these decisions is following your conviction, which always has a bad, sometimes it has a bad name because you're I'm convicted. And it's oh, I feel bad. And it's no, you're probably feeling shame about that. But conviction, in what it really means is a strong will, a strong urge, desire to do the things that God has placed on your heart. That you have a conviction towards it. You care about it. You want it to, you want to do whatever it is.
Yeah.
So.
I thought it would be a good thing to talk about, pretty much kind of bouncing right off of what you talked about just this last week, of this weight of this decision that you had to make in your life. That was, you came to a fork in the road of this is what I want. This is what feels right though. And what do I do?
Yeah.
And sometimes doing one means giving up everything that
you work for, or whatever. Yeah. And even in that, so if we talk about choices, we can go real easy and we can go this way. You got your choice of the Lord wants you to do this, to be a good person. The Lord wants you to be holy, live a holy life, and you're going to have to give up partying. Okay, cool. Right. Great. We all understand that. We all get that that's going to be it's an easy, low-hanging fruit. Just, you soft-pitched it to me. Good. Yeah. Boom. We got it.
You put that on a quiz anywhere, and people are going to be
yes. You got it. You've got that. Cool. You've got that answer. But this is, I think we ought to dive deeper into what really is the hard choices of your life. And we we don't have specifics of what it is, but maybe we can sort of share a couple things, but like that sometimes in your life you have to give up good things in your life for the things that God has laid out for you. That it's not always like a choice of following Jesus is not always a choice of, oh, well, I'm just going to give up the bad
thing that's clearly destroying my life.
I'm going to give up my addiction. Like, it's not always that.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's like, actually, you know what? I'm going to give up this good thing in my life because God has asked me to do this. Or God has called me to this, or whatever you want to put into that scenario.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of like a really good, just like a perfect example of that. Exactly.
Well, I mean, I can share one.
Okay.
So, before Amanda and I, before we started to date, we were kind of like hanging out and seeing each other, and we were long distance, and so we had seen each other for about 6 months. I'd gone to her formal, and we'd made a couple trips back and forth, and we were just kind of feeling out the relationship, and we both really, really like, I mean, we're married now, but we both really liked each other. We felt the Lord in it. And the summer before we started to date, when she got back, Amanda went on a mission trip to India. And I Amanda wanted to continue to kind of have whatever we had going on. We weren't officially dating, but she wanted to continue to talk to me and have whatever we were going on while she was on her trip. And I did too, but I really felt strongly from the Lord that we didn't need to talk at all while she was there. And so part of what that summer was I didn't talk to Amanda the entire time she was in India. I felt strongly from the Lord that I needed to just not in the sense of just like, oh, she's gonna be back and we're gonna go back to the same thing. Like, I felt a sense of I need to like fully submit this piece of my life to the Lord and trust Him in it, and not like have this, specific like, oh, she's gonna come back and we're gonna get, because I didn't know that at that point, and so I like specifically chose not to talk to her, not to speak to her, and it was just like, we had this conversation. I was like, if you when you get back after you spent your time in India and you've done the things that you've done, and we both are still on the same page, yeah, we can talk through it, but like, I really think that you need to take this summer for you, and I need to take this summer for me.
Yeah. And
just focus on the Lord. And it was like really hard, because I mean, I was already in love with her at that point.
Right.
Like, I loved her, and I was like, and I cared about her, and I wanted to be with her. I wanted to get married. Like, I wanted, and so for me, that was like a one of those. But now looking back, that summer was pretty impactful for me.
Yeah.
And learned a lot about myself, and I had a lot of stuff that happened, and for Amanda it was impactful too. She didn't have to worry about me in India or whatever. She was like fully able to focus in on what they were doing in India, and like God met us each in our own way in that summer. And I mean, we got married, so that all worked out. But
really lucked out on that one.
Yeah, I really lucked out. Yeah. Thanks, big man.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of like what. So at its core, what this requires is some understanding of how to hear God.
Yeah.
And how to just, or be at peace with what you feel like God is asking you to do.
A trust. That like His plan is bigger than the one that you have in your heart. And, is bigger than than like your own self-made idea of what your life can look like.
I'm wondering, like, so for me, if I'm wondering, if I'm in a position where it's like, okay, so I left my job. Left my job. This would have been, if you were to talk to 16-year-old Dave and be like, hey, you get to do this eventually one day, this would have been like the dream job. I was getting paid the most money I've ever been paid. I was crushing it. I was doing, like, I was good at it. But I was like, I think I need to leave. How do I know if that is the flesh part of me or the spirit part of me? And it's like, I guess the best way to do that is to run through your own run through what is captivating your heart at that time.
Yeah.
Of like, are you doing what the Lord is asking in other areas of your life?
Yeah.
Are you keeping it, like, do you have a relationship with God? It's really hard to hear someone that you don't ever talk to. You know, it's really hard to hear someone if you never understand how they communicate.
Yeah.
And so a little bit of this does require, like, do you have a relationship with God? Do you read scripture? Because unfortunately, I know, at least I'm really good at coming up with a reason why this is a great idea, or this is like, you know, it can't always be a sense of internal peace. In fact, a lot of times it's not.
It's not, yeah.
And you just have to kind of be like, okay, I hope this is good.
Other decisions that I've made in my life too that I think are like God, these God decisions where I've had to give stuff up. Sometimes, you know what else it has been for me? It's been like one moment of, this is what you need to do, and I know it. And then it's been, 2 or 3 weeks of like trying to almost convince myself that wasn't the moment that I actually had with God. And like, that's always been tough. Like what I spoke on Monday night, there was a point where I was like, I think I this is probably what I need to do. But then there was just, the weeks of trying to convince myself that it wasn't what I wasn't the decision, that I actually didn't hear that from the Lord. And doing that.
Well, and then also even layered on that, there's your response to what God's asking you to do, and then there's how you practically do that response, that both equally need to be God-centered. I'm thinking like conversations I've had with my girlfriend at the time, fiance now, soon to be wife, of like, oh, I know this is going to turn into an argument.
Yeah.
I know that what I'm about to say is actually going to probably ruin tonight. But it's a hard conversation that needs to be had.
Yeah.
And if I don't have it now, it's going to happen some other way that's not good.
Yeah.
So I really do feel led to like say this, but it's not only what I'm saying, it's how I'm saying it.
Yeah.
And both need to equally be God-centered.
Yeah.
Because it's very easy to do something that's right in the wrong way and cause even more damage.
Yeah.
Like now God has to like look down and be like, God.
Dang it, Dave.
Come on, guys.
Come on.
Just get it.
Yeah. I think that God, one, he speaks to people differently. And again, like you said, there's when you come to these points in your life that, sometimes God speaks to different people differently. And so I think that, one, it's important that you do have that relationship with the Lord. You do have the understanding of, like, actually God speaks to me a lot of time in this way. But you still have the mindset of being like, well, he's still God and he can still speak to me whichever way he wants to. And then but also like sometimes I think I find it helpful for myself to, if you can, in the moment, now looking back at decisions and things that I went through, I can, it's easier to look back in hindsight and go, actually, I can actually look at both sides of it and lay it out and see where this is, because I'm past the experience. I've seen where God's like moved and done and everything. So in the moment, sometimes it's really hard to sit and just go, let me make a checklist. Like, this is kind of where I feel like God asked me to do. And these are some of the things that would, if I do what he asks, like, I'm going to have to give up. And sometimes it's like really hard to do that, because sometimes the things that he's asking you to give up aren't necessarily bad.
Right.
They're not. No. Sometimes they're healthy. Sometimes they're just things that...
Yeah, sometimes it means leaving a ministry.
Yeah.
To not do a ministry.
Yes.
It's like...
Sometimes it means like... Sometimes it means not seeing your grandmother pass away to do the things that God asked you to do. Sometimes it means like moving away from your family and loved ones because God's asked you to go to YWAM or move across country or whatever. And hear me right, I'm not saying that you need to miss your grandmother, like,
no, leave her behind. You don't need to see her.
I am not saying that. I'm just saying.
And this is straight from Jacob's mouth. Leave your grandma to die. Let the dead bury the dead.
I'm just saying that it's not always as black and white as we see it a lot of times. And I think the main thing that I would go from like what we talked about Monday night to now is like, at the end of the day, when it comes down to those questions and those situations, because this was like, I guarantee you're gonna have these in your life. Do you trust the Lord enough to go the way that he's asking you to go?
Yeah. Do
you trust his plan enough? Do you and
do you really believe that all the goodness that you've gotten from doing from the work that you've already put in is from God? Like, I think of like you with cheerleading and like having to leave that behind is like, you can't just because God asked you to do something which caused like no longer being a cheerleader, like athletics, like all that, like just because God asked you to do that doesn't necessarily mean God didn't gift you with the ability to be an athlete and to be a good, like, so you need to understand that there's like this, there's things that can happen that may feel like it's going against the gifts that you have, but to remember that those gifts were from God. God can do whatever he wants to do with them. That it's like, it's his.
That's good.
And
oh man, that's really good.
And so it's like,
think about it.
Even like leaving, like I've thought about what it's gonna look like when I stop doing graphic design, because it's like I know eventually it's like, well, there's something else, and I don't really know what it is. I think it will always be a part of my life, but it's just, it's not a forever thing. I don't think. Maybe it is. I'm like, what is that gonna feel like when God tells me to give up something that he's honed in me for years? It's gonna feel bad. It's not gonna be fun at all.
No, it's not.
So let's play a hypothetical.
Okay, let's play.
Because this is fun.
All right.
I'm a little boy.
Hello.
I'm a little boy.
I'm a little boy.
And my name is Terrence.
Terrence, okay.
Terry. Everybody calls me Terry.
Everybody calls you Terry.
And I have to make this big decision. I I have the opportunity to go to a new school,
Mm-hmm.
or I can stay in the school that I am now with all my friends.
Mm-hmm.
This new school has some cool classes offered, but it's not crazy different.
Mm-hmm.
This old one, well, all my great long-lasting friends are there.
Mm-hmm.
But this kind of is a new opportunity. What do I do?
Mm-hmm.
How do I know which one is the right decision
Mm-hmm.
when both feel like they're
Good.
they're
Options.
good, like they're
Yeah.
good options?
Yeah.
What do I do? What does Terry do?
Mm-hmm. I mean, Terry,
Yes.
Terry, I would tell you that one, I think this is your very Christianese answer, which you should be, praying through it. One.
Okay.
So I would say one, you need to pray about it. Two, I think practically, like if you can, kind of pull yourself out of the emotion of what it looks like to give this stuff up, and kind of like see that, all right, yeah, I won't see Jimmy, I won't see Timmy.
I love Jimmy and Timmy.
And Tanner.
And Tanner.
Yeah.
Those are my 3 best friends.
Yeah, I won't see them. But this new school offers, actually,
a new Jimmy.
well, maybe a new Jimmy, potentially a new Jimmy, but what it does offer is what you want to do for the rest of your life. It offers you a crash course into
duck fighting.
into duck fighting. And it's
My
going to
newfound passion.
Yeah, your newfound passion, and it's going to teach you how to duck fight.
Uh-huh.
It's going to teach you all the ins and outs of it, and it's actually like you might be able to go to school for it. You'll be able to do it, and maybe it gives you this other opportunity. And so I think if you can objectively pull yourself out of that and go, all right, I'm going to be losing community. I'm going to be losing whatever it is that really holds you to this, but I'm going to be gaining like this idea, like maybe potentially a career move, or potentially these other things, or whatever it is, that I think you just need to pray through those. Like, I would say is pray through specifics. So you pray about the general thing, but I'd say also like pray through your friendships, and then pray about them, and like start asking the Lord that if you do move, like, hey, this is where I'm at. Like, these are the things that I feel scared to let go of.
Yeah.
And like, I feel maybe you are in this and you're asking me to do this, but I'm going to start to pray about these things that I'm scared about, because I want you in that. And the things that are good in my life. And so I would go, like, say for me, like the athletics part of it, like the give up cheerleading, but to do it because of the reasons I had. It's like, oh, but I felt like these were dreams that you kind of gave me, and like stuff I wanted to do, and had to pray through that and pray through. So I'd say like if you find yourself in a situation of this, like, just my own 2 cents, this is kind of what I would try and do, is you feel the Lord's calling you to one thing, and you know the good stuff that you have. I'd like start to pray into that. God, I'm actually terrified of.
I'm terrified.
I'm terrified of losing my best friends, Jimmy, Timmy, and Tanner.
Did we just go with the title?
Yes, we did. We absolutely did. And this is how titles are made.
32, 14.
Yep.
Okay.
Title. But like, I'm terrified of losing my friends, and like submitting that to the Lord, submitting your fears to the Lord, because, at the end of the day, it's about that. It's about submitting, and it's about submitting what we've got to the Lord, the fears, the things that we might be scared of losing, the things we might be scared of looking different, but then trusting in, like, actually, I feel like you're in this duck fighting school.
Yes. And God wants you to be a duck fighter.
He wants you to be a duck fighter.
Because that's the one enemy God has.
Ducks.
It's ducks.
It's ducks.
He didn't create ducks.
He didn't. They're all from the enemy.
They're all from the devil. Yes. No, and I think on the other on the other end, there's a very real possibility that God's like, actually, no, I want you to stay where you're at right now.
Yeah.
And there's actually work that I want you to do with Jimmy, Timmy, and Tanner.
Because just because certain opportunities that sometimes you feel like open up, like it could also go the opposite way where maybe you feel like this opportunity opened up to duck fight, and you've always it's been a lifelong dream.
You've always wanted to duck fight. You've always hated ducks,
and you've prayed about it, and you're like, God, I want to be a duck fighter. I want to kill these dirty ducks. I want to kill them. I'm not terrified of ducks.
And God likes that.
And He does like
God likes the passion that you have for hating ducks, because He also hates ducks.
And He goes...
He says, in His wisdom, He says...
But He says, not right now.
Not right now.
And sometimes it's going to be like... Sometimes there's things and opportunities in your life that'll open up that you just go, God, I know You made me to be a duck fighter. I know it.
Yeah,
I know it.
I think of David in the Bible trying to build a temple for God. Just like Terry wanting to fight ducks.
Yes.
Said, I want to do this. Praise to God. Like, he wants to do it. He wants to facilitate this building of a temple to hold God. And God's like, no, you're not going to be able to do it, but your son will. It's like sometimes you have to give up duck fighting so that your son can be the Muhammad Ali
of fighting ducks. Yeah. And, you know, it's true. So there's also the opposite of that. Like, that sometimes you give up your dream, or maybe even dreams that you feel are good, like duck fighting.
Yeah.
Fighting the literal enemy of God. You know? Maybe you give up. Maybe sometimes it's like, God's like, actually, don't want you to be a duck fighter, Terry. Maybe I want you to be a
duck lover.
Oh, no, not a duck lover. Maybe I want you to be a...
I don't know.
I don't know either. I'm trying to think of the opposite of a duck fighter. But not a duck lover, but a duck activist.
A duck activist.
Yeah. Maybe I want you to be a duck activist. Ducks. Yeah, you support ducks.
Actually brings ducks into the kingdom of God.
Instead of kills them and slaughters them on the battlefield. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe God wants that.
Maybe He does.
God doesn't hate ducks.
He doesn't hate ducks.
And there's nothing I can do if you've already shut off your computer and went out to kill a bunch of ducks. I can't do anything about it anymore. It's out of my hands, but let it be known and let it be recorded that God doesn't hate ducks.
No, He doesn't. He loves ducks. He made ducks. This is great. No.
So Terry,
you
have to listen to God. You have to understand. It's also why you seek counsel.
Yes.
It's why it's good to have, like, having someone else just bounce ideas off of, like, who's, you know, you can hyper spiritualize it and be like, yes, seek someone who hears from God better than you. And that is good. You should do that. It also just helps talking about what your thoughts are. And then someone can be like, have you considered this? And it's like, maybe that's not like some divine God-inspired wisdom of God moment in your life. But it's also like, hey, sometimes getting a third party, they're like less involved in everything.
Yeah.
Sometimes God speaks through those people in your life.
And so because having a third party like that's outside of it does give people a different perspective on, you know, they have a different set of eyes. We all have blind spots, you know. And to have someone that's able to have an outside perspective looking in, it's very beneficial because, you know, can't all see our blind spots. So, it's good. Yeah.
Yeah. And there was something else that I was going to say, but we got caught off with this duck thing, and I forgot it. And you see, that's the problem with silliness, guys.
Yeah.
So you forget something that might have been good, and it will never be said.
Yeah.
No one will ever know what it was.
And I think if we're wrapping up, though, we could just say a couple things. One, sometimes your decisions that God has asked you to make, or big choices that he asks you to make, isn't always giving up something bad. Mm-hmm. It can be giving up something good. It can be giving up something you love. It can be giving up dreams of yours that maybe you've had for a while. It can be giving up things that aren't always bad. And if we're being completely just real and honest, like to teenagers, whoever's watching this, that you almost have to be prepared and ready to do that.
That it will happen.
It will happen at some point in your life, and that's okay.
Yeah, and to be honest, that's just like, at its root, that's all of decision making ever.
Yeah.
Of like, you decided to do this because of this.
Yes.
You decided to watch 18 hours of Netflix because you like to do it.
Yeah.
It's like you're constantly giving up stuff.
Yeah.
All the time. You're giving up your time to talk with people.
Yeah.
And so God is just going to ask for the resources of your life, and that's part of what submitting to him looks like. And sometimes those resources are things that you really like.
Yeah.
They're really good. Like, not even really like the terrible addictions you have, but really like this is a really good relationship I'm in.
Yeah. Yeah. You get to pull the... It's not you.
It's not you. It's God.
He's asking me to.
Oh, that's even worse.
It's the worst. Actually, Lord, I just really feel like the Lord just doesn't want us. It's just not the right time. Oh, gosh, that is the worst. Yeah. But it actually is. It is true that sometimes he does.
Sometimes it won't be you. It will be God.
Yeah, it will be. But, it all, and I think it just, if we sum it all up, it's just a trust in the Lord and his plan is what I would really say it comes down to. That at the end of the day, I've got to have trust that the plan that he has, the things that he's asking me to do, are always going to trump and be better and have a better purpose and have something that's going on with them versus what mine does. Because although it doesn't make it any, like, it's cheap to say that. It's cheap to say, God's bigger than you are, bigger plans than you are, but like, because I don't want to ever take away from like what's actually happening is you submitting pieces of your life, which is hard. And I never want to take away from the pain of what that looks like, or just the toughness of what it is to be able to do that. So yeah,
love it.
So today's title is
I'm Terry-fied.
I'm Terry-fied. Or be not Terry-fied.
Be not Terry-fied is a great title. Counterculture Conversations, little line, be not Terry-fied. Terry, capital Terry hyphen FIED.
Yes. Terry-fied.
All right.
Catch you guys next week.